Welcome back to my YouTube channel, The Audiobook Room, and on this channel, I read school-based literatures as well as innovative, life-changing books. So feel free to recommend any book as long as they're in these categories. Right, enjoy! Right, so without further ado, let's get into it. We're currently reading Surrounded by Idiots, Chapter 1. Communication happens on the listener's term, Chapter 1. Does that sound strange? Let me explain. Everything you say to a person is filtered through his frames of reference, biases, and preconceived ideas. What remains is ultimately the message that he understands. For many different reasons, he can interpret what you want to convey in a totally different way than you intended. But what is actually understood will naturally vary depending on who you are speaking to. But it is very rare that the entire message gets through exactly as you conceived it in your mind. It may feel depressing to know that you have so little control over what your listener understands. No matter how much sense you would like to knock into the other person's head, there is not that much you can do about it. This is one of the many challenges of communication. You simply can't change how the listener functions. However, most people are aware of and sensitive to how they want to be treated. By adjusting yourself to how other people want to be treated, you become more effective in your communication. Why is this so important? You help others understand you by creating a secure area for communication on their terms. Then the listener can use his energy to understand rather than to consciously or unconsciously react to your manner of communicating. All of us need to develop our flexibility so be able to vary our style of communication, adapting it when we speak to people who are different from us. Here we find another truth. No matter what method you choose to communicate with as an individual, you will always be in the minority. No matter what kind of behavior you have, the majority of people around you will function differently from you. You can't just base your method of communication on your own preferences. Flexibility and the ability to interpret other people's needs is what characterizes a good communicator. Knowing and understanding another person's style of behavior and method of communication will result in more educated guesses about how a person may possibly react in various situations. This understanding will also dramatically increase your ability to get through to the person in question. No system is perfect. Let me be clear about one important point. This book does not claim to be totally comprehensive with respect to how we as people communicate with each other. No book can do that, because the number of signals we constantly transmit to those around us wouldn't fit in any book. Even if we could include body language, the differences between male and female dialogue, cultural differences, and other ways to define variation in communication, we wouldn't be able to write everything down. We could add psychological aspects, graphology, age, and astrology and still not get a 100% complete picture. According to the American Journal of Business Education, July or August 2013, more than 50 million assessments have been made using the DISA tool. And yet, even with all this information, communication remains a fascinating and puzzling topic. People are not Excel spreadsheets. We can't calculate everything. We're way too intricate to be described in full. Even the youngest child is far more intricate than anything that could be conveyed in a book. However, we can avoid this blunt blunders by understanding the basics of human communication. It's been going on for a while. We see what we do, but we do not see why we do what we do. Thus, we assess and appraise each other through what we see that we do. These words come from psychoanalyst Carl Jung. Different behavior patterns are what creates a dynamism in our lives. When I refer to behavior patterns, I don't just mean how a person acts in a single instance, his actions, but rather the whole set of attitudes, beliefs, and approaches that govern how a person acts. We can recognize ourselves in certain behavior patterns, but other forms of behavior we neither recognize nor understand. Besides, each of us acts differently in different situations, which can be a source of either joy or irritation for those around us. Though individual actions can, of course, be right or wrong, there is really no pattern of behavior that is right or wrong. There is no such thing as proper behavior or incorrect behavior. You are who you are, and there's no point of wondering why. You're fine no matter how you're wired, no matter how you choose to behave, no matter how you are perceived. you are fine. Within reasonable limits, of course. In a perfect world, it would be easy to just say, I'm a particular kind of person, and it's okay because I read it in a book. That's just how I am, and this is how I act. Sure, wouldn't it be great not to have to mishandle your own behavior? To always be able to act and behave precisely as you feel at that time. You can do that. You can behave exactly as you wish. All you have to do is find the right situation in which to do so. There are two situations in which you can just be you. The first situation is when you're alone in a room. Then it doesn't matter how you speak or what you do. It doesn't hurt anyone if you scream and swear, or if you just want to sit silently and ponder the great mysteries of life, or wonder why fashion models always look so mad. In your solitude, you could always behave exactly the way you feel. Simple, isn't it? The second situation where you can completely be yourself is when all the other people in the room are exactly like you. What did our mothers teach us? Treat others as you want to be treated. Excellent advice and very well intentioned. And it works too, as long as everyone is just like you. All you need to do is make a list of all the people you know who believe, think, and act exactly like you in all situations. Now just give them a call and start hanging out. In any other situation, it might be a good idea to understand how you are perceived and to learn how other people function. I don't think I will make headlines by saying that most people you meet aren't like you. Words can have incredible power, but the words we choose and how we use them vary. As you have seen from the title of this book, there are different interpretations of, yes, you got it words. And when you use the wrong word, well, maybe then you're an idiot. Surrounded by idiots or not. What does this actually mean? As I was writing, the following analogy hit me. Behavior patterns are like a toolbox. All types are needed. Depending on the occasion, a tool can sometimes be right and sometimes be wrong. A 30-pound sledgehammer is great for tearing down walls, but it's hardly the thing when you want to hang a picture of the foyer. Some people are opposed to the idea of sorting people into different behavior types. Maybe you believe that you shouldn't categorize people in that way, that it's wrong to pigeonhole people. However, everyone does it, perhaps in another way than I do in this book. But we all register our differences nonetheless. The fact remains that we are different, and in my opinion, pointing that out can be something positive if you do it in the right way. Improperly used, every tool can be harmful. It's more than the person using it than the tool itself. This book is your introduction to human behavior and dialogue. The rest is up to you. Parts of what you are going to read I have gathered from TTI Success Insights. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Soon Galberg and Edward Levitt for so generously sharing both their experience and their training material. No matter how strange it might seem in theory, every kind of behavior is normal. Normal behavior is relatively predictable. Every person reacts in a habitual manner in similar situations, but it's impossible to predict every possible reaction before it happens. Normal behavior is part of a pattern. We often react in consistent patterns. Therefore, we should respect one another's patterns and understand our own. Normal behavior is changeable. We should learn to listen, act, speak openly, and reflect in order to do what is relevant right now. Everyone can adapt. Normal behavior can be observed. We should be able to observe and consider most forms of behavior without being amateur psychologists. Everyone can take note of people around them. Normal behavior is understandable. We should be able to understand why people feel and do what they do. Right now, everyone can think about why. Normal behavior is unique. Despite the conditions that we have in common, each person's behavior is unique to him. Succeed in your own conditions. Normal behavior is excusable. Dismiss personal jealousy and complaints. Learn to have tolerance and patience, both with yourself and with others.